Yeah, welcome and welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Got a good show for you here today. Going to talk some Damian Lillard once out of Portland. Whoa. All right. But before we get to that, you know what time it is. If you haven't already, please go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell right here on YouTube on your screen. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, please go ahead, open up your audio podcast platform. Type in the Format Podcast in the search bar. We should come right up and you can subscribe right there. If you enjoy the content, please make sure you give us that 5-star review. We really appreciate that. Leave us a comment too. We appreciate that as well. Share the podcast with whoever you know, friends, family, enemy, whoever. Make sure that if you know they're a sports fan and they want to hear a different kind of voice than what they normally hear in the sports media, giving a different thought or a different idea, get this podcast over to them. They'll definitely appreciate it. You know what happens when you do that. We rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. Now let's get right to it. Okay, Dame Lillard. Unless you've been living under a rock and you're a basketball fan, you know that after 11 years and after countless statements saying that he was loyal to Portland and he wanted to stay there, and if he never won a championship, he would be happy knowing that he gave it all he got. Dame Lillard has demanded a trade or requested a trade, or however you want to word it, out of Portland to go somewhere else. And that somewhere else is reportedly the Miami Heat. Now, if you ask me, that's not the only place that would be a good fit for him, but that seems to be where he and those close to him feel like that would be the best place for him to go. So here's the thought, right? Here's the question, I guess. A lot of people are wondering, do the Portland TrailBlazers owe it to him to get him to Miami? I say absolutely not, right? I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and be pro player all the time to the detriment of objectivity. And the fact is, Damian Lillard has made a tremendous amount of money throughout his career from the Portland TrailBlazers. And I'm not knocking that because he certainly has earned said money, right? I think with this latest contract that he signed, it's about $450 million for his career. We can verify that. But I believe it's about $450 million. So, you know, it's not like he's hurting or they've mistreated him or they've shorted him in terms of, you know, the money that he should have earned throughout his career, right? So Dame Lillard, obviously, we know that he is one of the best players in NBA history. So, okay, including what he just re-signed for, which starts this year. He's slated to make $45 million this year, $48 million next year, $58 million the following season, and $63 million the season after that, which would be 2026-27. That will put him at total career earnings of $449,910,157. That's a lot of dough. That's a lot of dough. And don't get me wrong, again, Dame Lillard has earned that. He is one of the best players, one of the top 3 players in Portland TrailBlazers history. So he's earned the money. I guess it depends on how you look at it, right? He only has 4 playoff series wins in 11 years in Portland. So I don't know, nearly $500 million. Hasn't earned it. But listen, I'm not here to say that anyone who hasn't put the time and the sweat equity that he's put in doesn't deserve the money. The point I'm trying to make is the Portland TrailBlazers owe it to themselves and their organization to do what is best for them and the best deal, right? So let's look at it this way. I'm not a Bam Adebayo fan, not at all, right? I think he's overrated, and I think that his success is a product of the weak big man era that he currently plays in. Now, for said weak big man era that he plays in, he's a really good player. And if I'm the Portland TrailBlazers and Miami wants to do a deal with me, that deal is not getting done to get Dame Lillard if Bam Adebayo doesn't come back my way, plain and simple. It's just not going to happen. Because I get it. They want to do Dame a solid so that it doesn't get acrimonious and it doesn't get ugly. And they want to work with him to try and find him a somewhat preferred destination. But if I'm Portland, I'm not going to do it for you at the expense of screwing my franchise and my future, right? I still have a job to do. So while Dame is happy collecting $450 million, right? If I'm the GM there and I make a deal that's not good for Portland in a couple of years, I have no job, right? I'm on the breadline. No, I'm not on the breadline. Those guys make good money, but you get the point I'm trying to make. I'll be fired and I'll be, unemployed. So anyway, I say all this to say that I find it so interesting because Dame is the same guy who told us for years that he was loyal, and I'm not saying he wasn't, because he hung around a long time, right? And I'm not mad at guys generally who really stick it out as long as they possibly can before asking out and asking for that trade. Like, I want to say Kevin Garnett was in Minnesota 12 or 13 years. He was going into his 13th season in the NBA before that trade to Boston. He never wanted to leave, but he realized at some point, I got to get somewhere where I can win. I have given everything I've got and done everything I could. And I think Dame Lillard is kind of in that spot now. And especially, it doesn't help watching a couple hours to the south, Steph Curry racking up championships. And I'm sure he's looking at Steph and thinking, I'm just as good as you. Now, Steph Curry versus Dame Lillard, who's better? That's another question. But I'm sure he's looking at him thinking, I'm just as good as you. I just haven't had the organizational support that you have had. And that's true. That he hasn't had the organizational support that Steph Curry has had. That's definitely true. But at the end of the day, and don't get me wrong, I fully understand how difficult it is for a small guard to lead a team to a championship. It's only happened twice in NBA history. And of course, that's Isaiah Thomas, the original, with the Bad Boy Pistons in the late 80s. And of course, Steph Curry, who has 4 championships with the Golden State Warriors over the last decade. So I get it. But at the same time, Dame Lillard, if you're that guy, one conference finals appearance in 11 years, one conference finals appearance in 11 years, and what is it, 4 playoff series in that same time, you got to do better than that. Now, it's been reported that Dame, before all this went down, he went to Portland and basically said, show me that you're serious about winning and building a contender around me, and I'm here. And I guess he didn't like, the moves that were made or were not made. Obviously, re-signing Jeremy Grant for over $100 million, that's cool. Dame doesn't strike me as the type of guy that's going to deny somebody getting their money. And then, of course, the Scoot Henderson draft pick, which the Scoot Henderson may end up being great, but that doesn't help Dame on his timeline to try and win a championship. And realistically, we as the sports media, we as the basketball fans are kind of partly to blame for this situation, because we have put so much pressure on players today to win championships. But at the same time, you're making all this money, you're getting all this accolades, you're a top 75 player all time, you're doing all this stuff, you got commercials, you got major endorsement deals, blah, blah, blah. We can't absolve you of the responsibility that you have of being that guy to try to win a championship. Now, I get it. Everyone's not going to win one, right? Tracy McGrady, who nobody in their right mind would say Dame Lillard is better than. Dominique Wilkins, nobody in their right mind would say Dame Lillard is better than. These are 2 all-time greats, top 50 guys, and neither of them got a championship. It just happens that way sometimes. Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. Those are 4 of the greatest players ever to never win a championship. Elgin Baylor. It just happens that way sometimes. But at the end of the day, what do you play for? You play for a championship. And realistically, Dame Lillard didn't even get his team into positions to compete for said championships very often. And that's, in my estimation, that's problematic. So we get to it and we say, okay, Dame wants out. He wants to only go to Miami. Now, I'm sure his family and his agents, etc., feel like that's the best spot for him. But what are some other really good spots? I personally think, because now we know James Harden wants out of Philly, I think him and Embiid in Philly, that 1-2 punch inside outside would be insane, right? You got logo Lillard pulling up from just across half court. You got Embiid, if he ever decides he wants to, dominating on the low block. That could be a deadly 1-2, right? You could do that. Boston, if Boston could work something out, Jaylen Brown heads to Portland. Now you get Dame Lillard and Jason Tatum together. Jason Tatum is smooth. He's got a great game. He could be a problem, but he's not a killer. But when Dame gets going, Dame is a killer. So you put those 2 together, you got another front court, back court combination, elite shooting, elite scoring, both of those guys. Now, if Dame can commit to even attempting to play some defense, which he wants to go to Miami so bad, but he's never really been a defender his whole career. He's going to have to try to play some defense, because they don't hide you in Miami. He's going to have to try to play some D down there. So I'm not sure what he thinks about that, or if he thinks he's going to get down there and get away with not doing it. Yeah, wrong answer. So anyway, Boston would be a great fit. Philly would be a great fit. Obviously, Miami would be a great fit, even if Bam Adebayo has to go back the other way. But I think he wants to play with Bam because he and Bam are pretty tight. That's his boy. So, you have those things, those situations at play. And so here's the other thing, right? You're hearing NBA players, especially superstars, always end up where they want to go. Because if you're a team, you don't want to waste capital whether it's veteran players or very good players or all-star level players and or draft picks on a guy that you're not sure will want to stay there. Now, I don't get the feeling that Dame will go somewhere and he will be a malcontent and he won't want to be a professional, because I don't get that vibe about him at all. But um you never want to have a guy somewhere where he doesn't want to be. So that's the problem. And then, all these guys, their agents, they all talk to each other. What happens if Portland sends Dame somewhere and he's not happy? And then now he starts talking to other guys and his agent says, hey, I'll remember this. Now you have a problem if you're Portland, in terms of getting quality free agents to come to your organization. And that wasn't necessarily a free agent hotbed destination anyway. So now, if you're Portland, you have a very tightrope to walk in terms of trying to navigate this situation. Try to make Dame happy. Try to take care of the organization. Try to think about your future on multiple fronts. It's an odd situation. It's crazy. Apparently, that's why. Portland is in no rush to get this deal done. And realistically, I wouldn't be either. I would still be looking for the best possible deal for me and for my organization. But yeah, I want to see how this all plays out. So what I want to know from you is, do you think Dame ends up in Miami? Do you think there's a better spot for him? If so, leave it in the comments section. Can't wait to hear from you. Can't wait to respond to him. Look forward to hearing that and reading that. And I'll be back next episode. And I'm out. Peace.